Oh, okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to Rising Warriors. Rachael Kulei. I am Nabimia Dachinam, woman that travels with the stars. And on my mother's maternal side, I am Western Shoshone from the Purdash. And on my mother's paternal side is the Neamans from the Northwest Band Shoshone Nation. And on my father's mother's paternal side is the Nez Pierce, come from Chief Washkey and Chief Joseph. Um, so today I'd like to welcome back our brother here and our brothers. So it's beautiful too because I come from the Bear Clan, and so I have my bear brother here. And so it's
Bear
always good
brother.
to walk with that bear medicine and share that bear medicine. And so he's been traveling and doing some ceremonies and things,
Yeah.
and so we wanted to talk about all things beautiful today.
Mm,
And so that is it's going to be a very kind of like
mm,
broad topic because
mm,
there's
mm,
so many beautiful things that we can
yeah.
speak on in this
Mm,
world. And
mm,
so I wanted to welcome our brother here, and he's going
mm,
to get started with us and do a prayer
mm.
for us as we start
Okay.
our healing
Beautiful.
circle over here.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank you, Rachel, for having me on again. It's such an honor to be on the show and to share the love, share the medicine, and talk about all things beautiful, which is really what we do anyway. So it's just
Right.
nothing new in this one. So it's going to
Right.
be yeah, nothing new. But let's begin with a good prayer. Let's really open up the space with a good prayer again. If you have any tobacco, you can offer it with us. A little pinch goes a long way. A little feather from above. So oh, Creator, Great Spirit, Kitchumanitou, Megwitch, thank you. Goes on to me. I love you. We love you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this circle. Thank you for this beautiful relationship between me and Rachel. We talk like brothers and sisters and talk about all things beautiful all the time. And it's what a beautiful way to spread the medicine and to spread that love and to spread that light, spread that power, spread that beauty, spread that empathy and compassion, gentleness, love, all those things, bravery, courage, willingness, all those things that we talk about here in this circle today. So and again, we mean no harm in what we do. Come here in a good way, sacred way, and a humble way to be guided by our ancestors, be guided by the spirit, and to help shape the next 7 generations. Oh, all right, good one, good one. Okay, so 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 come down. So so. so oh, come down. Okay. Okay.
All
All
things beautiful.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the only thing that came to mind yesterday. I said, well, we
Uh-huh.
covered a lot of topics, man. Let's talk about all things beautiful. That covers just about everything. So,
Right. So it
uh,
opens the
uh,
door for so many things to talk on.
yes, right. And we're really good at chatting it up anyway. So it's very entertaining. Just for me to
Yep,
sit
and
here
the
just
and
to
the nice thing
chat
is
it
I
up with
was
you. So.
right. I was able to figure out how to extend it so we can actually go past the hour. So we don't have to. We
Really?
can yes. So we
Wow.
can
Okay.
go a little
Okay,
bit
good.
more after, if that's where spirit leads us to be.
Good. Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
we don't
So
have today. There's no time in a sense.
there's no
In
time.
we get to step out of the time from
The
the
virtual time
Western.
warp. I love it.
Yes,
The virtual time
yes,
warp. Yes. All
yes.
things beautiful. Bringing that medicine. So yeah. What do you want to?
Oh my goodness, where should we
Where do we
start?
begin? Yeah.
I'm like,
Where do we
one
begin?
of the
Yeah.
things that came to me was ceremony. That was one of the things,
Mm,
because
mm,
I sat with the bears this week,
mm, mm,
and
mm,
waking that bear medicine up, and
mm, mm,
it was when I was sitting there, I was thinking about all things beautiful, and one of the things that came to me while I was laying there with my bear was
mm,
listening to the plants, listening to the
mm,
trees, listening
mm,
to the
mm,
birds. And I was
mm,
listening. There's this pine tree that's right there next to where I was at, and I could
beautiful.
actually start hearing the pine cones opening. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow, that little
you could
crinkle,
hear,
that
yeah, the
little
little
slight little
crinkling.
crinkle, that
Uh-huh.
little, you're like the second person that's ever heard that, ever heard that. How beautiful is that? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow,
so I
wow.
started
It's coming.
seeing that. Uh-huh.
You
And
heard the
then
birthing process. That's part of the birthing process. Yeah.
yes,
Wow.
uh-huh. And then I
Wow.
could hear
Yeah.
the trees, and I started listening to the plants opening, and
Mm-hmm.
I could hear
Mm-hmm.
all of the trees
Mm-hmm.
starting to blossom, and then
Mm-hmm.
hearing the grass, and then listening to the earth. I started hearing just even like the
Mm-hmm.
smallest little, like the little roly-poly that was just going through, or a little
All
earwig,
right, right.
or
Little
the
bud.
ants
Yeah.
that was just going through, and I could hear
Right.
them like moving
Right.
through the grass.
Mm.
And it just reminded me of like the beautiful things in life that don't we take advantage of. And this
Mm.
saying kept coming from actually our Sundance sister told my mom this the other day. She goes, I never understood what my grandparents were saying by stop and smell the roses. Stop and
Right.
smell the
Right.
roses. And
Right.
she
Right.
goes, and little do we know
Mm.
that smelling
Mm.
those roses, or even those
Mm.
plants or those herbs,
Mm.
is what helps,
Right.
re-stimulate the nervous system. It helps
Mm.
clean and pure the
Mm.
mind, and bring
Mm.
a sense of balance or calming. And there's
Right.
the rose is
Mm.
smelling the
Right.
rose is so puring and for
Mm.
the spirit, and
Mm.
calming
Mm.
the nerves and the senses and the
Mm. Mm.
body, and then
Mm.
help with grounding. So there's all of
Mm.
these beautiful things around us
Mm.
that I just was listening to.
Mm.
And then I look up, and there's
Mm.
little fairies.
Wow.
There's
Really? Wow.
little fairies, that are
Yeah.
just like flying and dancing
Yeah.
around. And
Right. Right.
then I started seeing all of these purples, the energies of these purples coming out around.
Mm.
And at
Mm.
first I was like, where did the purple flowers come from? And because I
Yeah.
was kind of looking, I was like, I don't remember purple flowers. I remember the daisies and the dandelions, but I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
remember purple. But then all of
Right.
a sudden I just looked closer, and it was just the energy of all of
Mm.
the plants and the ground and
Mm.
the earth that was moving. And it was just this beautiful, vibrant purple that was just
Wow.
like
Beautiful.
glowing like little flowers. And so I was
Wow.
sitting there thinking, I was like, wow, I was like, we don't stop and listen. We don't stop
Mm.
and take that moment. And what was interesting
Right.
was that while I was singing my songs, there became this quietness
Mm.
in with the
Mm.
people, because I was in close with the neighborhoods around me. So there
Mhm.
was a lot of people, doing
Mm.
barbecues and things. But all of a
Mm.
sudden during that ceremony time, it just
Mm.
became peaceful and quiet,
Mm.
and nobody was
Mm.
talking.
Mm.
I couldn't hear
Mm.
anybody. And
Right.
then it's like, but I could
Mm.
feel presence of ancestors around me. I
Mm.
could feel the
Beautiful.
presence of
Beautiful.
them dancing. I could
Beautiful.
feel I could feel
Right.
presence of the neighbors
Mm. Mm.
watching. And then my mom
Mm.
ended up going and educating them, about
Mm.
what I was doing and the songs
Right.
I was singing. And
Right.
this was the first time that they ever got to witness
Mm.
someone
Yeah.
sitting in the lodge, someone sitting in the grass, someone sitting next to the
mm,
fire, singing
right,
for, you know,
mm,
hours and just
right,
listening in peace.
mm,
And
mm,
they were just
mm,
in awe because they've like,
mm,
I've never
mm,
seen this before. I've never
mm,
witnessed this before.
mm,
I never knew because they were Mormon. And
mm,
so you know, they never
sure, mm,
witnessed this part
mm,
in
right,
seeing a church
right,
outside,
right, right.
and that it doesn't have to be
Did they?
in the
Mm,
actual building or in a temple. And so
mm, yeah.
it was beautiful on so many
Mm,
different ways
mm, mm,
of you know me being in
mm,
that ceremony, but then
mm,
allowing others to witness and
mm,
also be a part of that, and then sharing
mm,
my voice because there was songs
mm,
I was singing for the animals, and then I could hear
mm,
the birds singing and they were chirping,
right,
and it
right.
just and then the wind would come through and you could hear the wind kind of
Mm,
singing, and then I'd hear those songs coming in the wind.
mm, mm,
And so it's just this beautiful thing. Then the birds, the eagles started flying around above.
mm,
And
right.
so during this, I was really thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm like, we need to, we're forgetting about the beauty
Mm, mm,
in the world. And like we
mm,
were talking beforehand, there's so
mm,
much
mm,
fear-based things that
mm,
was going
right.
on that we're forgetting the small and beautiful
Mm,
things in life.
mm,
And so
right.
that's why, you know, we're both on this journey, and,
Mm,
you know, and trying to, you know, help bring more understanding and clarity, and connecting back to, you know, self and spirit.
mm,
And
mm,
so I'm like,
sure.
so, you know,
Mm,
now I'm like, okay, so now the brother
mm,
comes in, and so
mm,
this is like the melting pot of this
mm,
shared circle, because I know
mm,
you've been in traveling in ceremony and things. So
yeah.
that's what I'm keep feeling now. I'm like, I guess we're talking
Mm.
about ceremony and the beautiful things that come within that ceremony.
Sure. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's I actually posted this on social media, and you know, it's kind of like not a clash of cultures, but you can see really um see the differences. Let's just leave it at that. And one of the most beautiful experiences I think I ever had, what was and I've been really lucky to live this long and to have as many experiences as I have. I was up in the mountains outside Las Vegas, recently, and was really in that moment of absolute beauty, bliss, surrounded by the sacred winds, the sacred mountains. I could actually see, hear, and feel the ancestors, probably your ancestors, and that. And, up in those mountains, up in those hills, I could hear them singing. I could hear them dancing, and there was a little rumbling in the ground. And I was there to observe. I made the offerings to make sure that I was okay there, and doing ceremony there. Just letting them know we mean no
Mhm.
harm in what we do. That, so it come in a good way, and setting those intentions are really the beginning of ceremony, right? Right, they're really setting those pure and wonderful and loving intentions. So, so I did that, kind of going about my day. A couple of days later, um, my eyes turned bright blue. And I was talking to a friend. She's Daniela. She's in Bulgaria, and I was talking to her. We were doing kind of the FaceTime thing, and I said, "Wow!" And that morning, what was funny is I woke up early to watch the sunrise. I'm a big sunrise guy. I love
Uh-huh.
the new day, the new energy, especially coming over the mountains, and seeing the ancestors, and like the day meet, like it was like its own show of its own, and I was thinking,
Uh-huh.
that was really beautiful, and I remember waking up in the mirror, it's really weird, something's going on there. I didn't know what it was. It was pre-coffee. I'm like, you never know anything, but before pre-coffee, it's kind of, after coffee things become clarity, got a little
Right.
clarity there, and then and then I'm sitting there. I'm playing my flute to the to the sunrise and like a thank you, and then I started about my day, and then I'm doing uh Facebook thing, and my friend Danielle said, "What's going on with your eyes?" And I said, "You know what? Because I was doing one of these, like I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh my God, what's going on with my eyes?" And I said, "I'll call you back." Then I'll call you back, and I looked in the mirror, and they were bright, bright blue. They were bright blue, and I'm like, and I just remember looking in that mirror for like 10 minutes. I'm like,
What is happening?
what is happening? I didn't feel like any sense of panic. I sent a sense of peace. You talked about sacred listening, and we begin with sacred listening. We're listening to ourselves. The healed self, the love self. And so I just began there, and spirit will always speak to us in terms in which we will understand. That's So it looks a little different for everybody, for every one of us, and you know, I'm a real simple guy. So they said one word. They said alignment. And I'm like, okay, well that feels right. That feels
Uh,
good. So
uh,
that was beautiful.
the beautiful
So
alignment.
yeah, so just we're talking about, and we talked about, I did what you just spoke about. Is that sacred listening, really opening up that space, really listening to all those things, beautiful, and thank God for the answer, thank God for that sacred listening, thank God, sacred, thank God. Tony taught me, and other elders taught me how to not hear but listen, you know
Yeah.
listen, that like there's an intent behind what spirit says, but if we don't listen, we'll never know. We
Mm-hmm.
can hear the birds, but if we don't listen to the birds, that's two different things. you know and that spiritual awakening to really see all things beautiful begins when we really see, when we really hear, when we really listen to those sacred things. It really kind of opens up that door to that beauty that's out there. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
so so yeah, that's just my experience, man. And the other end of it was to I kind of put on social media, and other people said like, "Oh my God, go to the hospital, go to this. You're dying.
The
You'll be
fear.
dead tonight. You'll be dead
Yeah.
tonight." And I'm just thinking
Or
like,
you're getting glaucoma or something.
yeah, glaucoma, you're having a heart attack. Got heart issues. Go to go to just go, get yourself to the hospital right now. And I'm like, I love you, man. I love you. Let's start there. I love you, and I appreciate your concern. But let's we live in like a fear-based, adversarial-based world, and people, a lot of people that live in that world, that live by those codes. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be in fear. You have to be in fear if you're going to live in a colonial world. You have to be in fear. Because the narrative is you have to live in fear. Whereas my ancestors, well, just kind of live in faith. Everything's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to be all right. Do a few simple things, the things that they did, the ancestors did, to help the future generations. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
It's so true
yeah,
because we
yeah,
we don't talk, but I guess we don't really talk about this much too. And is the fear, fear versus
uh,
faith.
yeah,
Um,
right.
because we could, like, for instance, even
Yeah,
with COVID and things
yeah,
that are happening, like there's so many things that are unsure and what's
yeah,
happening, but
yeah,
what I've been seeing and what a lot of
yeah, yeah.
medicine people have been talking with me
Mm,
about too is,
mm,
it's
mm.
this disease in a sense is fear driven, and
Sure, right,
it's
right.
it goes off of low vibration.
Mm,
So we can do a couple of things, like we can live off the fear, and we can put everything like, okay, we're going to have masks and we have to be extra precautious and say, keep your distance. And, I'm not saying not to be safe, because we still need to be safe, but at the same time, that's where you need to listen to spirit, because there's so many times when I want to go to the store and I hear, no, not now. You need to wait 2 hours. And then, or it's, okay, you can go to the store now. Or I'll be in the store and all of a sudden I'll start feeling people's anxiety and their fear and their panic, because it gets overwhelmed. And I hear, Rachel, you just need to drop your cart and leave. You can come back and get this later. And so, it's listening to those things. So if I didn't listen to that, then I'm also now as an empath and being able to feel when I'm in that store. Now, if I don't listen, I start to feel chaotic. I start to feel their fear. I start to when people start coming to get closer to me, I'm more like that, like guard and like keep my space and don't get close to me. And but it's fear, because my spirit, me personally, I'm like, no, it's okay. Like I like, we're okay. But if I allow that fear to come in, then it's like, oh no, stay away. Like, you got to go away. And then what do? We go back into this self-isolation. We go back into the cage, if you want to say. So now we have this thing that's out here that, okay, yes, we need to take precautions, yes, but there's other things to do. And this is like going back to beautiful things. We have plants, we have herbs, there are so many other resources, that we could be doing to build our body and our immune system, so that our vibration in our body stays higher too, so then we don't get sick. And so then then we're not driven off of this fear, and you have another sense of faith. And so then when you're having that faith, it's like I had to tell my doctors the other day, because they kept trying to push me to get the COVID. And me and my spirit personally, I keep hearing, no, Rachel, it's not you. Maybe in a year I can get the COVID shot. Maybe in 6 months. I don't know. But right at this moment in time, I have to listen to spirit and creator telling me no, because it will actually make my body worse, and it will make my cancer worse, and it'll do opposite things to me, where I'm building my body, and I'm with all these herbs and supplements and formulas to build my immune system. So I never went through chemo and radiation. I've been doing everything all naturally. And going back to again to the beautiful things that are around us that we forget, right? And even down to the dandelion that we want to call a weed, that's in the yard.
It's a flower.
It's a flower, but not only that, the root is the number one root that I have been using to help cure my cancer over the past 4 years.
Wow. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, how do you process that? Like, how do you
harvest
and process?
So you have to harvest it. So you have to go. So luckily, for some reason, my parents' yard, the herbs that I need for my healing somehow just sprouted.
Okay.
We never planted them.
Wow.
We did not plant them. They just start sprouting. Wow. And so all of these different, there was some herbs, yes, we did plant, but there are some herbs that have been popping up that birds have been traveling and bringing the seeds in and dropping them, or different squirrels or animals. And there are all of these different herbs in my parents' yard that are all medicine that I take for my healing. So what's interesting is that I've been seeing over the years is that when you become more in tune with those herbs and you use that medicine, it'll just start coming to you. And the birds, all of a sudden, they dropped off this tree that had these neat, long, poking needles on it that we used to use for acupuncture in our heads.
Mm.
It's also a needle to use for traditional
Right,
tattoo
right.
poking up here.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it just one day it just sprouted. And my mom actually had to use
Unbelievable.
that tree one day when I was in
Um,
ceremony because I had a heat stroke. And
yeah.
so I was wanting an acupuncturist, but she's like, I don't have the needles. And so she's like, what do I do? And all of a sudden she got guided. She goes, see the tree over there. We brought you that tree. This tree is for this
Mm.
moment. So
Right,
she
right.
had to go to
Wow.
that tree, grab those needles,
Wow.
and she sat
Mm.
there and
Wow.
poked them into my
Right.
head
Right.
and it relieved
Oh,
that
shit.
pain from my head.
Wow. Wow.
So
Beautiful.
with the dandelions, they just go. And we used to have to tell my dad because he used to spray them. And we're like, stop
No,
spraying
I know.
them. And he's like, but
Hung
they're
up.
weeds. And I'm like, no, they're not. I'm like, Dad,
I
that's my
know.
medicine.
Yeah, right, right, right,
I'm
right,
like, that's my
right.
medicine. Like, don't do
Yeah.
that. And so now it's my job. I have to go out there. So you have to, there's certain tools you can do too, but
Yeah.
you really have to like go down through the sides of the roots to actually
Mm-hmm.
pull up the whole
Mm-hmm.
entire root. And
Mm.
then you let it dry
Yeah.
for about a
Oh,
couple,
you're
I
like,
do about a couple weeks
oh,
and I
you,
let the
oh,
root
okay.
actual dry and then I'll chop it up. And then
Mm.
from there, I'll let it dry for another week just to make sure that all the
Yeah.
moisture is pulled out.
Okay.
And then
Mhm.
I use about a half a cup of dandelion
Wow.
root for maybe a gallon of water. And
Wow.
I mix other herbs and things with it too.
Right,
But
right, right.
I boil the root in the water and then you can drink that
Okay.
tea.
Can you post that?
Yes, I
For share
will.
that?
I
Share that.
will.
Good, good. Yeah, no, no, that's beautiful. We started talking about this COVID thing, right? We started talking
Mm-hmm.
about the COVID thing, and I've heard this. I'm really, really fortunate that I get to talk to a lot of people, a lot of medicine people from around the world, and just conversations come up, and the same answer comes over and over and over again. There's medicine to everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal. Everything is medicine, and COVID is medicine. So we have to take a look at that. And and all the COVID is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
The positive, the good side to COVID is that we get the opportunity now to go back to Mother Earth, which is really what we need as a species in the first place. So there's a little nudge from somewhere saying that, okay, there's this thing here now. And, remember when it first came out, this social distancing, which is, spiritual is practical, practical is spiritual. I mean, I get all that, but aside from that, you know, um, I got so many comments from literally around the world, from Thailand to from down under, saying, "Man, I never knew how beautiful the parks are," and so they, without knowing it, automatically went to those places, and they never would have gone there, never would have built that relationship without that thing that's out there. So wow, that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of beautiful. So the other side of that medicine is that a lot of people have and will continue to reconnect to those sacred vibrations, to their sacred sounds,
Mm-hmm.
to all their sacred things. And obviously you talked about it before too. Raise that vibration. Raise that healing. Raise once that awareness comes out, we feel new. Like once the vibration is raised, and then we feel things differently. We see things differently. Our perspective had changed, and then we come into the conversation again about being an empath kind of thing, and
Yes.
being an empath. And it's not just the true empath feels everything. It's not just two leggeds of people that's like saying, "Oh, I just feel black people from what 20 to like 30." No, it's just empathy doesn't work like that. It feels
Yeah, right.
everything from across the. If it has spirit, then it has feeling. And so to able to feel with that, and one of those things is once we start seeing, once we start feeling, beyond the colonial fear, the real authentic vibrations, then we're able to then we're a little bit more honed, and then we're able to know what to do with those fears. You see,
Mm-hmm.
everything's a full circle, and so it's really a tremendous responsibility, and I would say opportunity works better for me, is that really the true empath really is able to transmute all those feelings inside, Walmart, Walgreens, Sam's Club, BJ's Club, and all those places with mass chaos, mass
Right.
spiritual chaos,
Uh-huh.
mass, those places of mass fear, which
Yes.
like the untrained, the unhoned, empath will say, will be kind of like a victim type thing. Oh man, I can't go to the gym. There's just too many feelings. Oh, I can't go to the movies. Oh, too many feelings.
Right.
Well, I would suggest, that's the first half of feeling. Healing's the second half. And to be able to transmute that and really be those hollow bones. There's not enough of us to go around, really, right now. So we got to bring that level up, and the honed and trained empaths really have to start teaching and tell the others. And this is this is evolution type thing, evolutionary
Mm-hmm.
type spiritual evolution. We're in a time of great, beautiful awakening. And I think they call it. Are you into astrology at all?
Yep.
Did you understand
Uh-huh.
that?
Uh-huh.
Like the age of Aquarius,
Yep.
kind of
Uh-huh.
thing. You know,
Uh-huh. It's we're
we're,
in the transition.
yes,
Everything's in a transition.
yes. So now we're spearheading this time right here. Is a spearhead into like the next, I don't know, 1,000 years of awakening or something like that. And I heard a couple people say that. So now is really the time that those people and really change that fear, that hate, that whatever it is, back into love. And what we do is we just take that feeling, you know, actually blow a little love into it. It's kind of like just sacred breath,
Uh-huh.
kind of like, you hold that white light, hold that white light and just say, take that feeling and then just put it there and just say, and you just love and just kind of throw it out there again, and it transmutes like, the energies. The elders walking the red road a long time, they automatically do that. They don't even have to think about it to do it. Like grandfather Tony, he just walks in the room and everything. Like it's kind of like, I don't know how that guy does it. I mean, John Corsi is like another one. I mean, so many elders out there. Like you ever walk in the room and it's just like, okay, good. All right, good, good. Like the elders, that's what they do because they've walked with that, and they walked with that medicine for so long. A lot of them, they don't even know what they're doing. They just say, love and light. Grandfather, hey, he doesn't use the term empath, but he uses the term love and light. He just, okay,
Mm-hmm.
love and light, and so that's really a command to the universe to turn this place back into love and light, no matter what it was before. It's just that stronger, raising up, you know, when that person has a gentle demeanor, gentle feeling that spreads. It's like a raindrop that kind of goes
Uh-huh.
out.
Uh-huh.
You know, um, you know, but that thing that goes out, it is love and light. So gentleness is love and light. Compassion is love and light. Kindness is love and light. So just we have to, yeah. So just kind of, and sometimes I ended up in a place. You know, uh, you ever been to Vegas?
Yep.
Fremont Street,
Uh-huh. Hold your
unadulterated,
horses. No.
unadulterated hedonism. That's all I gotta say. Unadulterated hedonism. So, it's one of those things you gotta check off. Kind of like, okay,
Yeah, like I did it.
check off
Yep.
Fremont Street. Okay,
Yep.
been there, done that. So anyway, I went to Fremont Street, and like being an empath, I had a lot of fun there. I really, really did. Because I was throwing like light bombs like everywhere, but like like grenades, man. I literally was taking
Yeah,
just like toss
yeah.
it over there,
Uh-huh.
and then it was really just and I really, really had a beautiful time with that, man. It was just kind of beautiful. It's just like you know, I've seen some things I can't unsee.
Right, right.
I was just uh, just not enough smudge. I said that like it's just not enough. Just
You need a big truck with a big barrel of it.
yeah, yeah. We need like the atom bomb of like smudge. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, it just and again, early in my walk, I would have been overwhelmed with whatever was going on there, diapers and whatever,
Hmm.
all this crazy stuff, and I would have been overwhelmed. But here's like the other thing too, and I forget who I taught. Lakota guy taught me this.
Mm.
He was in ceremony and acted as if 1,000 warriors are walking with
Mm.
you, and it works, man. It works. We call them, they come. They are compelled to come. They want to come. They want that relationship with us. And so when we call them and call them come, they come help guide us, protect us, and they really, really do. Can I tell you one story with about that?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
I'll tell you one
I
story.
love
So,
story time.
story time. So,
I love
okay.
story
So
time.
when
Go
story
ahead, tell me.
time. so, I'm back on fishing lake, right? And we have these prayer grounds, and this whole section of forested with prayer ties. They use whole length. We use whole length um, cloth.
Mm.
We put the medicine in the cloth and we tie it around the tree and there, and it is absolutely beautiful. Man. One of the prettiest things I've ever seen. Man, I'm like, wow, man, that's so freaking beautiful. That's so beautiful. And so one of my things there was the colonial world would tell me, well, you're from there, but you're really not from there, type thing. You were taken from there. You're really not Indian, but you're just, if you want to go back and you want to pretend to be Indian, then that's fine. So like I had this hurt, a place of hurt
Mm.
in my heart. And so when I was back there, I would go to programs. I would go to programs and just sit there and make offerings, tobacco offerings, food offerings, type thing, I would say connection to prayers and the ancestors, and it really began like, you know, if you're there, I could really use a little guidance for help. And then it morphed into like, I know you're there, and I know you're hearing me. I know you're there. I come in a good way. I come in a humble way. I mean no harm in what I do, and I can imagine this is going to bring me to tears. So I got this one place, and really just kind of holding on to this tree, and just holding on this tree, and I could feel the of rumble of horses coming. It's we got some horse people up there, so that they're still riding around. And so I got my thing on the tree. I could feel the you ever been around horses when they come
Mhm.
around,
Uh-huh.
the whole ground shakes.
Yeah, it shakes. It's a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
feeling.
the whole ground shakes, and I said, well, they just come around probably hunting or something like that, and I could feel it like in the distance, and I could kind of feel they're getting closer, and the ground just like, and then but I'm not breaking my prayer. Grandfather told me, you start your prayer, you never break your prayer. Prayer to prayer, kind of thing. You never break your prayer. And so I'm in there, okay, just praying, 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 praying. I just said, whatever I said, and it was so loud. They stopped right behind me. They stopped. I could feel the
Mm.
heavy breathing, the heavy breathing, and everything. And still praying, and they were there. I was just continuing to pray, and I just said, okay, prayer over, and I looked back, was nobody there. And then I heard, "You are one of us.
Oh.
You are one of us, and you belong.
Oh.
You are one of us." And I said, "Okay, good." And it was so beautiful because I could feel the, you know, and and when I get into those kind of dark times, because everything ebb and flows, everything ebb and flows, like the seasons of day. Sometimes it rains, and so so now I know they're there, and now I know I can call on them whenever I need them for that place of strength, for the place of guidance, place of beauty, place of, I was walking with a friend here the other day, and there's kind of like a cliff, and then out looks the valley here, the Cuyahoga Valley here, and and uh, and I brought my ancestors just to enjoy that view with me, and that feeling, okay, good, I get that feeling, and I know they're there. I
Uh-huh.
know they're there, and the truth is, they're really never that far away anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're really
Mm-hmm.
never that far away. And so it's a little difference between in the colonial thing, the fear-based thing, and knowing that, because we're talking about faith here, and I get the warm fuzzies, when they come. I really, really do. Like, okay, good. You
Uh-huh.
know, you know, being an indigenous in a urban world, you know, gets a little lonely sometimes out here. Kind of like,
I was just thinking about that yesterday because I was like,
yeah,
man, it gets lonely out here. And
yeah,
especially like what you were saying earlier, being that medicine person, and there's not
yeah,
none of us, not enough of us in those hollow bones out here. And
to share that medicine.
and holding this medicine every
Yeah,
day, not just one day a
yeah,
week, not just
yeah,
1 hour a
yeah.
day.
No,
It's
it's
constant
just
and constantly
24 hours.
living
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
prayer. But that's what
yeah,
you have to do, and to stay in that place of faith. You
absolutely.
have to
Yeah,
stay in a constant state of prayer.
yeah,
Everything
yeah, yeah.
is done in a
Yeah,
prayer. Even if you're just talking
yeah.
like we're
Mhm.
talking now, it's still in a way of
Yeah,
prayer.
yeah.
You're speaking,
Yeah.
you're going through the that. So I was thinking about that yesterday because I was sitting there and I'm like, man, it gets really
Mm,
lonely out here. But then all of a sudden I hear, but remember, you're never alone. We're always
mm,
right here with you.
right, right.
And that's when
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
I remember that. And I always have to remind myself that, that,
Mm,
I may be physically walking alone,
mm,
day to
mm,
day, and
right,
but my
yeah,
ancestors are always with
mm,
me.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
always
and
with me.
what, and what a comfort that is, man. You know, um, and it really comes again. It all goes back to that sacred listening, that sacred seeing. We see more with our eyes closed, and I understand that now. I didn't understand why Tony would do whole ceremonies with his eye closed. I'm like, I'm over here, Tony. Why don't you look at me? And I was like, place in that place of
Hmm.
hurt. Like, oh my God, he's
Hmm.
not talking to me. He's not looking at me. But now I've been doing this for about 30 years now. Now I get it. Now
Yeah,
I
because
get it. Now I can close
he
my eyes. And when you close your eyes, close your eyes until you can see the ancestors standing next to you. That's what the old ones say. And so when I was up in the canyons there, I closed my eyes, and we began this with, like, dude, I could see everything, I could hear everything, I could hear them move, I could hear them whisper. I can hear your ancestors. And I thought about you when I was up there. I said, "Oh man, I wonder if they're related to my girl over there, man, my girl." I
uh-huh,
said, "Wonder if they're
uh-huh,
related to her."
uh-huh.
And I said, "Wow, wow." And I just felt so, you know, when we get to that place, I just feel so little and so small and so loved, and so honored and so, like, respected, that they show themselves to me. They show themselves, and that I've done just enough work that that I am able to see them. And then my job is to honor them, love them, remember them, respect them, no matter what tribe they are. Really, yeah, grandfather
Mhm.
said, no matter what tribe they are, you honor and you respect the way they do their things. That's the way of the world. The ash tree doesn't tell the oak tree how to live. The squirrel doesn't tell the beaver, hey man, what are you doing over here? Kind of like,
Right. That's not your
like,
job.
what are you doing over here? The otter doesn't tell, the robin, hey man, you're, you're doing things wrong up there, man. You gotta come down here. We gotta understand our place in the circle. And once we really understand our place, that it's a seat of honor, and that seat of honor is waiting for you. You know, you know, and it's not like we have to earn it. It's already there. It's whether we choose to go there and to walk in a good way, and to sit in a good way, and to listen in a good way, and to love in a good way, be gentle in a good way. And that's how we feel. That's when we really take our place in the circle. And we're all trying to find our place in the circle. That's just the deal. That's it. That's the deal. And what a beautiful, you know,
Mhm.
when we find
Mhm.
that place, and again, it comes in like little increments, kind of thing. You feel a little better, feel a little better, feel a little better, feel better. Rarely have I heard it's just like the burning bush, the fire in the sky, the harps playing, and the angel singing like, oh, like the place in the circle. It's not like a Disney movie kind of thing, but it's more like the generic garden variety, kind of walk. And like you said, medicine people, try to teach us it is, you know, birth to death. That's the ceremony there. That's the walk. It's not just when the fire begins on Saturday afternoon at 3 and ends, when we walk out of the
Mhm.
lodge at 8. That's one little ceremony, a much larger ceremony. And the big ceremony is, how do you love and how often can you love? That's the ceremony right there. Forgiving the unforgivable type thing, loving the unlovable. That's the real ceremony right there. You know. And how we walk from life to death with that prayer, with that prayer, you know,
Mhm.
how that's how we, and this is all, overlapping, interwoven teaching, and that's how we take care of the next 7 generations is how we walk in this life.
Mhm.
That's how we honor the future with how we walk this, and that's how we heal the future. Is how we love the unlovable, how we forgive the unforgivable. That's. So the next generation doesn't have to deal with my stuff, kind of thing. The last thing I want to do is burden the next generation with my stuff, with
Mhm.
all the things. This world would be a better place if I deal with my stuff now and heal the stuff mine now. And that's doing everything that we talked about today. All things beautiful. We began this conversation with smelling the roses. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? One simple that's a simple act of love and kindness right there. You know,
Mhm.
it's a simple act. And that's how we, you know, that's how we do. That's how we do. Indigenous. Um,
Well, so
yeah.
that's what is, so I know you experienced this too, and so I experienced that at a younger age, because when I was 20, I think it was 29, 28, 29 is when I was preparing to go home from stage 4 cancer. And my family kept having dreams that I was going home. I kept having dreams. I kept getting visits of preparing myself spiritually before I go home. And there was like this big long list of things that I had to do spiritually to prepare myself to be welcomed into Creator's arms. And so I understand. I had this understanding of what the old ones go through. And when because my grandma, she used to tell me, just let it be, let it go, forgive. We don't, time's too short to hold on to these grudges. Time's too short to hold on to this pain. And this pain won't be there when you get to the other side. So learn how to live and love and forgive it now. And that way, every time you leave someone, you're always leaving that person in a good way. And so I was talking to my mom about this yesterday, because the time we're in now, we're watching a lot of people go home. And when I had crossed over to the other side, before I was given a chance to come back, I was told that we were going to watch many people pass over the next years, and that we had to I had to hold on to the higher knowledge of understanding that we were going to be reunited with them again, and it's only temporary, so that because that way I don't get heartbroken and distraught and stuck in that sadness of losing that loved one, and or with everything that's been going on just this past year, with all the many brothers and sisters that have gone home and things. And I've been watching a lot of people just so distraught and heartbroken, but at the same time it's beautiful. There's this beauty in it, because we are in these last days. We are in, like we were talking before the podcast, we're in this transition now of body, spirit, to prepare for the next life, to prepare for the next world. And so we're going through this transition. We're going through this awakening. And I never really understood how it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen one day. I knew that something was going to happen collectively on a global scale for everyone to have this awakening. And it had to happen on a global scale to impact everyone, not just certain races, not just certain ages, not certain parts of the world, not just the poor or the rich or the middle class. It affects everyone. And then the COVID hit.
Right.
And so I started seeing. So it was like this whole COVID has been beautiful to me, because over the past years and things, especially with cancer, I have been in self-isolation in a sense, but in another world within this world. And I was able to go back into, as if I was in that teepee, in that ceremony, and staying in that ceremony within the world every day. And I started seeing even more, through my preparation to going home, was that every day, all day long, is that ceremony. It's not just, a couple hours of the day, or it's not just 1 hour and then something goes on and then I need to pray because something's going on, or it's just like it's constantly holding this prayer in your heart. And it's not really like you're like on your knees praying and praying. It's just this sense of, like you were saying, this love, this light, the beauty, the prayer that you're holding it in your heart. It's that space that you hold when, like you were saying, like in your Vegas, you're just throwing the love bombs, the light bombs all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like that too. It's like, that's that prayer. It's a bigger a prayer, because sometimes we need to just like boom and pour that love and that light to just to kind of put out that fire, right? And bring that balance back. And and so with all of that, it's like not only that, now with the prayer is, how are you talking to people every day? How are you
Right,
talking
right.
to yourself every day?
Right, right.
Are you feeding yourself with
Mm,
love and with words
mm,
of love and light
right,
and beauty?
right.
Or are you feeding yourself with fear and destroying self-destruction and sabotage? Or,
Right, right.
so, and it's not only that. So then
Yeah.
now, are you also holding that prayer of that love for others? So when you're
Mm,
speaking, you know,
mm,
we even in confrontation, there's two ways, and I always see this with medicine
yeah.
people. You'll
Mm,
see this
mm,
with medicine people, right?
mm,
You could have somebody coming up to them and
mm,
say, I'm just
mm.
yelling at you and I'm screaming at you and I'm
Yeah.
ostracizing you.
Mm,
You in one little thing like an eagle could just, and a bear could just go boom and wipe me out and put me in my place and knock me on my feet with your
mhm,
words, right?
mm, mhm,
And you could shut it down. But
mm,
then what happens? You're not speaking with
mm.
that love. Now you're
Right.
speaking with a different type of energy.
Mm,
And it's not of that love. It's not
mm,
of light.
mm,
It's of, it is of power,
mhm.
but that's now we're going into it, like almost a warrior comes into my mind of
Uh,
fighting.
yeah.
But
Mhm,
that's not the medicine way, that's a warrior
mm.
way. And we're
Yeah.
not talking about the warrior way right now of life. We're just
Mm,
talking
mm.
about just every day of a ceremony,
Right.
way
Right.
of life, right? So
Mhm,
when it comes to those confrontations, you have two things you can do. You can either yell back at me, you can, speak
mm,
firmly to me and put me in my place and
mm,
shut me down quickly, or you can
mm,
see from a higher perspective and say, you know what? To myself in my mind, I'm going to say, I'm like, you know what? This person doesn't understand yet.
mm,
They're still in
mhm,
this stage over here. If I
mhm,
speak and
mhm,
say anything to me at this moment in time, are they
mm,
really going to hear me? Are they
mm.
really
Right.
going to
Right.
understand what I'm saying, even
Mm,
if I'm speaking with love and light?
mm, mm.
So
Right.
then what's this? So
Mm,
then what you end up seeing
mm,
is the elder walk away.
mm. Right.
They don't engage. Is because now they're looking at that person as a little child in the store throwing a temper tantrum because they didn't
Right.
get the candy bar
Right.
or they didn't get
Mm.
the toy
Right.
that they wanted.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
right. So it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to engage and are we going to yell at
Mm,
that child? Because
mm,
even though we may be adults, we're
mm,
still in that medicine wheel, we can
mm.
always still go back to that child
Mhm.
state and that child
Right.
mind. And the
Right.
elders,
Right.
they see that. So it's having again that
Mhm.
higher
Mm.
perspective and that knowledge and understanding.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so when you're speaking and dealing with people
Yeah.
every day,
Mm.
it's now, how are you going to speak to
Mm.
that person?
Mm.
Even if that person may be coming at you in a not,
Mm.
not from a place of love, how are
Mhm.
you still have your own power to respond, and how are
Yeah.
you going to react to that? Are you going to react with love, or are you going to react
Mm.
with the anger, or the
Right.
energy that's being met,
Right. Right.
coming to your
Right.
door? And are you going to meet that
Mm.
in that same place? Or are you
Right.
going to raise yourself up in a higher place and go, I
Mm.
see the bigger picture? Maybe
Mm.
in a year, maybe in time, we'll be able to revisit
Mm.
this and talk on this and on a
Mm.
different way. But at this moment in time,
Mm.
me
Mm.
speaking is not going to do anything. It'll actually
Yeah.
make it worse. So
Right.
that was another thing that, I've had to learn walking in this ceremony,
Mm.
because
Mm.
I used to just the bear and just go bah and
Yeah.
throw the daggers and put you in your
Yeah.
place, and the truth hurts, and I don't like, I'm
Mm.
almost like, I don't care about your feelings because you're not caring about mine. But
Right.
that was actually hurting people. And then
Right.
at the end of the day, I still have a finger of creator pointing at me saying, why did you react in that way? Why did you say those things? Yes, it was true, but you could have said
Mm.
things differently. You could have said things in a beautiful
Mm.
way. If I were
Right.
to take you home tomorrow or to right now, are you going to be okay with what you just treated that person?
Mm. Right.
Are you
Right.
going to be okay? Are you going to be happy? Who's going to be standing
Right.
behind you?
Mm. Mm.
And when I'm at the judgment days is what I'm told from creator. He goes, who's going to be standing behind you
Yeah.
backing
Right.
you up,
Yeah.
saying that you were a
Right.
good person
Right.
and
Right.
that you
Right.
did walk in that
Right.
ceremony every
Mm,
day?
mm,
Or are you going to
mm.
turn around and nobody's going to be standing back there because you burned all your bridges and you weren't that good of
Mm.
a person to
Yeah.
your brothers and
Right.
sisters on this earth and having that
Right.
compassion, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so
Right.
that was one of the biggest things,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it's every day, especially
Mm.
with
Yeah.
where we're in. You don't know when
Mm.
each person's going home. You don't know.
Right. Mm.
We don't
Right.
know. So
Mm.
every day walking with that, it may be the last time I see you until we get on the other side. How do you want to leave that
Right.
person?
Right.
Do
Right.
you want to leave that person
Right.
in
Mm.
tears? Do you want to leave
Right.
them hurt? Do you want to
Yeah.
be left in
Mm.
that
Mm.
pain, or
Mm.
do you want to
Mm.
be, and even if you
Mm.
can't make that pain, that resolving,
Mm.
you can still
Yeah.
forgive. Even if you
Right.
can't speak to that person that hurt you, you can still take that power
Mm.
within you to forgive that person
Right.
and I say I was told, you surrender it to creator. You
Right.
surrender that
Right.
pain and you give it to creator to
Mm.
take, and he can take care of it and he will do with
Mm.
what needs to be done with that, and that pain.
Right. Right.
And but
Mm. Right.
leaving people in a good way every
Mm.
day.
Right.
When you leave someone, are you
Mm.
leaving them in that good way?
Mm. Mm. No, that's really beautiful. It's just it's sometimes silence is the best answer. And my relatives here in recovery and in that circle, and they said we never want to spoil the next meeting. The next meeting. We never want to spoil it, whether you know whenever that is. And I think that really, no one, and always lead people in a good way. And sometimes silence is, the best way. And I mean, you hit it right on the head. Sometimes we don't have to respond. And if I may add this too, I got this
Mhm.
little nugget from Spirit. Is that I don't have to have an opinion about yours.
Mhm.
I don't have to have an opinion. I don't have a judgment. You know,
Mhm.
Wayne, I hate you. Well, I don't really have an opinion about that. So it's like,
Right?
you know,
Okay.
Wayne, you're disgusting. I don't like this. I don't like your hair. I just, I honor you, but I don't really have an opinion about that. Like, and it's just, what a gift that is. Well, like what a gift, especially, those that are living in, the colonial adversarial world, because the colonial world is built on being an adversary. Have someone to blame, you have to judge someone. It's kind of like you're un-American if you don't like somebody type of thing. It's really, that's what, that's what
Right.
it's like, if you're not hating on someone, if you're not, then it's kind of like, racism has become, Americanized, kind of thing, just, kind of thing. So it's kind of built on racism, actually. America's really built on,
Yeah.
smothering people like us, so, the heathen. So, kind of stuck to that, over the years, but, again, it's, when we have that conversation, just like, well, I'm going to love them anyway, just regardless of, regardless. And do I have to have an opinion about that? Well, I can critically think and have discernment, but at the end of the day, do I really need an opinion on that? Because you know, like I don't take you home, but I take my words home.
Right.
And I have to sit. Bad words make a hard pillow, kind of thing. You know, and they make a strange bedfellows type thing. So I don't want to be up at night thinking, what I said to her, what I said to him. I don't want to be up at night. Soft, gentle words means a soft, gentle sleep. I'm getting older now. I'm 50 now, by the way. I had my
Ah,
birthday.
yeah,
I
happy
guess.
birthday.
So I'm officially like an elder now. So totally sound I'm an
Yes.
elder.
See, I'm
So
still an elder in training. That,
I'm an
that
elder.
that's what I was
I, I'm
appointed as.
I'm let's see what's today 20th. I'm
Yeah.
11 days into being like an
Oh,
elder now.
welcome.
I'm 11 days into it. So so never thought I'd get this far. I really didn't, man.
Right?
You surprised
It,
me, man.
it was
Yeah.
when my mom went and became an elder that my grandma and my mom they
Yeah.
handed me the baton and they go, okay, now you're the elder in training. I was like,
Yeah.
thank you. Much honored.
so so yeah, that's it. Just talking about kind of death and everything. Do we have time for one more quick story?
Yep.
Okay, so
Remember, we don't have time today.
we have no time.
There is no
We're in a
time.
time. We're in a time warp. So
We're in a time warp. We're in
so
another dimension. No.
so I was really early in my walk, my spiritual journey, walking the red road. I was probably like 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 years into it. I was really kind of young, still kind of tripping, like tripping over myself and still, relapsing occasionally. I do really well for a couple months. I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I will do whatever I want to do, but then I would, but I
Be
never
a
miss
kid.
ceremony. Yeah, but I never missed ceremony, and I would always sober up for ceremony like 2 weeks before, and then I would try to get like 2 weeks after. That's what I heard somewhere. But and then part of my journey was was really learning how to honor and respect the women, and I was a lifeguard, an ocean lifeguard for a
Mhm,
long time.
mhm.
I was an officer on the beach for a long time, about 17 years. And, just things happen, that happens, different kind of relationships kind of thing. And so I really was, I said, telling him, what do I do? So what don't do it? I said,
Mm.
oh, okay. So I was practicing that, practicing saying no and all that, and really honoring and really not going out there pursuing anything like that, and so I was about doing good for about probably 4 years at this point, really really good for 4 years, and looked over this one woman. I was in North Six Sheridan Street, and I remember looking over this one woman. She was absolutely stunning. She was, oh my gosh, she was so stunning, but there was something a little different about her, and I said, you know what? But I said to my prayers, I said, look, I'm really walking with my prayer. Let me honor her by not like bothering her type thing, and so just worked for about 3 months, and one day I said, hey, just like the little, when we're new in our walk, we really um, we don't trust our intuitive, and we definitely, our agenda is always suspect type thing. Our
Mm,
prayer is
mm.
always suspect. Like what am I really after here? Kind of thing.
Right,
So I really had
right.
to look at that. Here's this beautiful woman. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to say a quick prayer, just go down there, introduce myself. That's it. So anyway, I did the four-wheeler thing. I drove down and said, hey, look, I've seen you before. My name's Wayne. I'm right over there. I'm the lifeguard, blah, blah. If you need anything, let me know. I see you're a local here, and, like anything you need, just let me know. And so anyway, the next day she brought me a cup of coffee. I thought that was pretty cool. And so anyway, and I told her about this prayer. I told her about,
Ah,
hey, look, this is where I'm at, and this is what I'm doing. So I'm really not looking for anything, like that. And so anyway, we became really, really good friends because it took that agenda out of it,
uh-huh,
kind of out of it.
uh-huh.
And we went out to dinners and coffee, and we just kind of hang out. Not like a romantic thing, but it was just like a really cool, a relationship. And so this went on for about 6 months, maybe 8 months. I remember getting a phone call from her at about midnight. And I said, what's going on? I'm about to go to bed. What's going on? And she was crying. I thought she was crying. She was really upset. I said, okay, what's going on? I said, I really have to tell you something. She went, I really have to tell you something. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, just hang on. I'll be there in a second. So, I went and got there and went up to her house. She lived on the beach, and I went there, and she'd been crying. There's like boxes of like empty, Kleenex there. And I'm like, this is
Oh.
boxes of it. She'd been doing it for quite a long time. And I said, oh my God, what happened? I thought somebody died, or somebody died, a family member, something like that. And she said, no. And she started to tell me about a dream that I had. And
Mm.
wait, what? And I know I didn't tell her that because it's not something that I tell people. I don't tell people about, my murder dream. And so the
Mm-hmm.
dream goes, um, there was some hostilities between the local tribe and, the settlement that was relatively near. And I guess some cattle or some livestock disappeared or something like that. So they blamed the local Indian tribe.
Mm.
So the settlers went out and they attacked the village, and I was in that village, and I was 12 years old, and 12 years old, and I can remember when the attack started, and I just got up. It's kind of about mid morning, maybe 9:30, and I remember running around this when I was running away, and I ran into a settler, and I can remember his demeanor, his face, his eyes of just pure hate. And I remember he had a big Bowie knife, and he stuck that knife right in my chest, got me square. Got me.
Mm.
You know, but she's telling me all this, and I'm like, I guess she kind of saw it happen, and I remember stumbling there, and I just kind of said, and I remember saying, oh no, and I just remember just kind of lying there, and yeah, I knew it was about to happen. Yeah, and there's this one woman that came to my aid. And guess who it was?
Mm.
It was her. And now I remember. And now I remember where she was from. But I couldn't make that connection between where, her face and, like how do you make that connection when you've had, and I've had that dream probably maybe 2 or 3 times over the years, kind of. And the second or third time I actually knew it was in a dream, or it's kind of like, and then when she told me, it went from being a dream to being a memory. And so she was there, and so she was the one on the beach was the one that helped me cross over that night, and she
Oh.
remembered me, from the previous life. So it's our paths crossed for that one moment in time. And I said, and up until a couple months ago, actually, I and this is really, really kind of interesting. I could still feel the steely blade in me, type thing.
Oh.
Once I remembered that, and I could feel it, kind of thing. And then there was a healer that I went to that said, you have something stuck inside you. Let me take it out, and you'll never feel it again. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And he's right. I've never felt it again. And he's actually the guy that I'm going to. His wife and him. They run the healing center that I'm going to in Las Vegas. That's him.
Oh, okay.
That's him. Yes. So that's him. So
Oh.
if you need a little help, and kind of like that stuff, I can help you. So hey,
Uh-huh.
he's your guy.
Okay.
Like he's your guy. So for me, the long and the short of it is that I know we have consecutive lives. I just know because because I have memories from other lives, kind of thing, and that's like, okay, and it makes me calmer now, knowing that it's just like, okay, well, I'm here for a little bit, and just kind of like, all right, we'll just see what happens here, and that's kind of that,
Yeah,
so
because
yeah,
that really
so
helps with knowing that it
yeah,
gives you a different sense of
yeah,
living in this world that we're in. Makes it a
it,
little bit more
it's all
enjoyable.
it's all temporary. Pain is temporary. Joy is, hold on to that joy for as long as you can, and some things happen. Some things will happen, can't have people come, people go. Reason for seasons, that kind of thing. And just kind of like, just kind of, I'm getting older now. I'm just thinking, I want to, pump the brakes a little bit and just kind of like enjoy the ride and just be like, okay, well, I lived a pretty eventful life here. I think I rather, second half of my life, I think I just want to slow it down and just kind of, write books and travel a little bit and just kind of share that love. I think, I think that's, you learn that the learning is your first half, the share is the second half type thing, So it's just
Yes.
kind of like, kind of that's where I'm at. So, yeah,
See,
yeah,
and that's beautiful because
yeah,
it's all the different stages of life,
yeah,
and that goes back to our topic of all things beautiful,
that,
and
yeah,
going
that
through
is,
those transitions. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
But people want to say it's so ugly and hard and
Yeah, yeah,
chaotic or things, and
yeah,
but it's like but if you
yeah,
change your mindset from the
mm,
negative to the positive, even
yeah,
when even when we are going through
yeah,
trials or we're going
mm,
through hard times, you can
yeah,
still find the beauty and you can still
right,
find the positive within that. So then
right,
you actually, it's like I always get this image. Oh, I'll just share the story. So one time, because I always talk about the image of a hurricane and being in the eye of this hurricane. And
right,
I actually got to be in that center of that space in a sense. I was
right.
in South Miami Beach back in like I think it was
What?
2000. Yeah, it was 2009,
You're in
2010.
Miami? Wow.
Yeah, and I was
What
down
hurricane?
there. Huh?
What hurricane?
It was a small
Was
one
that the
that
year
just
the
came
four
in.
hurricanes in 6 weeks? No.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there was so it was
This is-
one
this
that
is-
just came in really quick off of the coast and it was 120 miles and it just came I just watched it come off the coast and it was going along the coastline and then it took
Yeah.
a
Okay.
turn and then it went right into us and it lasted I want to say it was about 8 hours, but it was this big
Okay.
typhoon, small hurricane, but it was
Yeah.
huge winds.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
I just remember I was on a break and I was
Yeah.
doing a certification down there and
Yeah. Yeah.
I was up on top of the hotel and I was like just watching this massive storm come in and it was just
Wow.
so
Right. Right.
beautiful and I just
Yeah.
watching
Right.
this
Right.
big
Yeah.
cloud come
Yeah.
through and really pushing the water and the ocean and just I was just watching everything just change around me and just watching the storm, watching the lightning come in, but
Wow.
then
Right.
all
Right.
of a
Right.
sudden all these sirens start going off and there's warnings of getting inside, getting undercover. 120-mile-hour winds are coming with this like
Yeah. Yeah.
intense
Yeah.
storm off the
Yeah.
coast, a
Yeah.
small type
That's it.
hurricane. It's
Yeah.
short-lived
Yeah.
type small hurricane.
Yeah.
And
Right. Right. Right.
so
Right.
I'm like I have to get to my training, so those they're
Yeah.
long blocks on the Miami. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I think I had
Yeah.
to run like 5 big long blocks down the strip and then another two
Yeah.
like big long blocks over to
Yeah.
get to where my training was at.
This is
And
South Beach. South Beach. You're
South Beach,
right on the
Miami.
beach. Yeah. Yeah. South
Uh-huh,
Beach.
right
Right.
on the
Right.
beach.
Okay.
I was right
Yeah.
on the strip
Wow.
there.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I'm like, I just hear, Rachel, you need to run, go get your stuff. You need to get out there now. So I start running. I made it
Yeah.
halfway down to like maybe going to almost to the third block. And it just all of a sudden went from no rain to like someone just turned the faucet on and it was just like
Yeah.
dumping like no other,
Right. Right.
drenched in
Right.
like 2 seconds, right? and lightning is shooting up out of the street. And so I'm just like I'm like running as fast as I can to get to my training. And so finally I get in there and I'm watching everybody come in, and everybody has their own chaotic story of how they got to the training, right? The certification. And so we're all watching, like listening to each other's stories of, I had to run this way or I had to do this, but we all made it, right? And so then so it's for gyrokinesis, which is along the lines of like yoga and tai chi. And so we all got together and we were going to start our meditation. And so I'm sitting there, I'm watching the palm trees are literally like tilted over this way. The streets are already like, there's already a foot of water in the streets. There's the rain is all over. You can hear, we're on, you can hear everything. And you're on the third floor, we're on the top floor. And so you could like, it was even, and there's windows all over. So you're just like in this very vulnerable place, right? But all of a sudden we're like, okay, we have this chaos, we feel the chaos and the storm. And then all of a sudden we all got in a circle and then started meditating. And it was one of the most empowering thing, because it was like you had all of this chaos and then boom, it was like we created the center of the eye of the hurricane. And in being in this space, and being in this space and connected, even though there was the storm literally going on around us that could just rip us and tear the windows open, but being in that place of serenity, being the place of peace and stillness, and having, and faith too, and knowing that you're just going to be protected, and there's this huge storm going on, and we could be watching it, we could be at the window, we could do all these things, but instead we're like, nope, we know the storm's going on around us, but we're just going to hone in and we're going to stay in our place, and we're going to be in the center of the eye of the hurricane. And it was in that moment that I started to learn that in life, when things get chaotic and you're in the storm, that if you're able to just get into that center place and you create your own center of the eye of the hurricane, you can really sit back and watch everything just kind of slowly go by you, and then you can observe it, and then you can learn from it, and you can see, and then you can make the right conscious decisions, instead of getting sucked in it, and then you get sucked in the whirlwind, and then you're reacting and you're not even thinking clearly. You're not listening to spirit. Spirit is now the connection just got lost. Like you cut the connection off, and it's really hard for spirit to get through to tell you to calm down, to go right, to go this way. And so when you get into those chaoses and those storms in life, I always go back to that place when I was in Florida, in the center of that small little hurricane, of staying in that peace and in that quiet place, and not doing what the world wants you to do, and indulging and engaging and going for the whirlwind, but really staying in that faith, really staying in your place, your eye of the hurricane in the world. And then then you can start to view things in a different aspect too, and learning and observing, and not reacting to the storms in life.
Right. Just being that beautiful little thing. Beautiful little just being that little spot of light and love, as the grandfather would say, just a little spot of light and love. And that's what this world needs. Really symbolic, and that story is really symbolic of life. Probably your life. I'm guessing probably your life.
Yeah, because I had a lot happen.
And, bit action filled.
Yes, very adventurous.
Yeah.
You can have a movie over here of life of let's
Yeah.
see, horror, drama, passion, just like adventure,
Comedy. Comedy.
comedy. Comedy's a big one. Comedy in the middle of horror. No.
Oh yeah.
I always have to bring laughter because laughter is what I always say. Laughter is the best medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot
We
the ceremony.
actually we actually
Yeah.
did that one time.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
mom was the coordinator for the Title VII, the education Native American
Hmm.
education program out here for
Hmm.
many
Uh-huh.
years.
Right. Right.
And so I was a
Yeah.
part of that too and helping.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one day
Yeah.
we decided to try something different,
Hmm.
and that was just by laughing. There was no reason, but we're
Right.
just
Yeah.
gonna laugh. And so what we decided
Uh,
was that
uh,
um say I'm sitting in the classroom and I'm waiting for, each person to slowly walk into the Title VII program for the day to start the evening program.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
you walk through the door and no, there's nothing going on, but all of a sudden you
Right.
walk through the door and I just start laughing and there's
Mhm.
no reason, but I'm just laughing and all of a sudden you're kind of like, wait, what's going on? And but you realize I'm just laughing, but then now you start laughing. You just
Yeah.
started
Right. Right.
laughing, you know?
Right.
It's like,
Right. Right.
just laughing. And it's like, but now all of a sudden you just start laughing. It just changed
Right.
your
Right.
energy. So even though you may have
Right.
been, maybe you just had a
Yeah.
horrible day and you walked into the building, but just because of
Yeah.
that laughter, now you just
Right.
started laughing and then
Right.
it just changed that medicine. It just changed that
Right.
energy, right?
Right.
And
Right. Right.
so we started
Mm,
doing this with each person, but each person that walk in, you have that moment of sense of why is everybody laughing at me, and then you start to catch on everybody's just laughing, and then it
yeah.
becomes funny
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, you're waiting for the next person to come in because
Yes.
now you
Yes.
get to laugh for no reason, and then that person's gonna feel what you felt for a moment of like,
Yeah.
why are
Right.
they
Right.
laughing
Right.
at me, and then you realize,
Yeah.
oh, we're just laughing. It's contagious. And so if we started doing this and we started noticing that even if anybody had a bad day,
Yeah.
because they walked in that room with that
Mm,
laughter and that medicine of
mm,
laughter, it's
mm-hmm.
like they forgot whatever problems was going on prior to coming to that day and coming to
Right.
to
Right.
the Title VII program. And it was
Right.
just this laughter that was
Mm,
there, and the elders,
mm,
they're laughing, and just I
yeah.
can still
Yeah.
hear their laughter and my grandma's laugh, it just
Right.
it just brings so much joy to the heart. And so
Yeah.
like
Mm,
laughter is the best medicine. Laugh.
mm,
Learn to
mm,
laugh. If you don't laugh,
mm.
laugh. And even if you can't
Right.
laugh, just make yourself laugh. Sometimes that
Right.
is like even just the
Yeah.
action of making yourself laugh produces different energies, and the
Right.
enzymes in your body, and
Sure. Right. Right.
everything wakes
Changes
up, and then
changes
the
the
organs
biology.
in your
Right.
body, yeah, you're
Yeah.
just seeing
Right.
it's you're creating this happy energy for your body.
Mm,
And
right.
and our organs and everything
Right.
is tied to our emotions and things.
Mm,
So it's like when
right.
we feed that
Mm,
positive to our body and our
mm,
spirit, then our body
mm,
naturally is going to be going. So if we want to go back to the
mm.
energy of our body, then we're raising
Right.
the energy in our body
Right.
to help our spirit be stronger too. And
Right.
so,
Right.
that goes
Right.
to our foods.
Mm,
We were
mm-hmm.
talking to one of our Sundance sisters the other day, and she asked us if she's like, can you eat food? And I'm like, I'm having a hard time eating food. And she goes,
Mm,
so I'm not the only one. And she goes,
mm,
I'm having a hard time eating food. I can only eat food one time a day. And I was like, and it's at nighttime? And she goes,
mm.
yes, this is the only time I can eat. And I said,
Wow.
and you can't eat processed foods anymore, can you? And she's like, no.
Mm,
And she's like, and I'm having a hard time even eating organic food. And
mm.
so now it's like going back to
That's
the plants and the
strange.
herbs
Right.
of
Right.
our own gardens, and
Right.
then the energy of the animals. And so she's
Mm,
like, I haven't been able to eat meat.
mm,
And I'm like, I can't either.
mm.
I have to be very careful where I get my meat from. And so
Right.
I've been
Right.
noticing that I can eat the meat that the tribe sends me from this company in
Yeah.
Utah that has
Right.
their own organic cow and elk and
Right.
bison. And so
Hmm.
they'll send us meat. And now since I've been going back to almost like the traditional, it's like I
Yeah.
can really tell the difference of energy in
Mm.
the body
Yeah. Right.
and
Right.
my body,
Yeah. Mm.
it's like
Mm.
it gets sluggish. I get more tired. It's like you
Right.
don't
Right.
really have the energy. Your body's not processing the food like it should. And so
Right.
that in itself lowers our
Mm.
vibration.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
it's going back
Mm.
to what are we putting in our bodies again, too.
Well, it really affects, it comes full circle. It really affects how we can see, hear, feel, honor, love, respect it. And just like everything's connected to really everything else, if you're having trouble listening, having trouble feeling, well, let's look at what you're doing, look at what you're eating. Our diet is what we eat, but it's so much more too. Our diet really includes our relationship with all life and how we treat all life. So people come to me all the time about, hey, look, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm lonely. I'm like, all right, well, let's have a talk. Let's have a
Yeah.
talk. Let's say, how was your relationship with Mother Earth? Oh, well, I never leave the home. I'm like, okay, let's sometimes the journey begins when we walk out the front door type thing. So yeah, and then the COVID thing. Well, I'm so scared of COVID. I think go to the oak tree, tell the oak tree about the COVID concerns, and then the oak tree will know what to do. The flowers know what to do with that fear. Transmute that back into love and light. They are the original empaths. We're on the tail end of that process of understanding, learning, and knowing and using. Man, we're like we're really late to the party kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, we are.
We're like
We're like
we're,
way hours late.
we're,
Like,
yeah, yeah, we're showing up at 4 in the morning. Like, what happened, man?
yeah, when everything's almost over, everybody's
Everybody
still
left.
around.
Yeah, everyone got a few stragglers. We don't want to talk to them guys anyway.
Right? Oh my
So
God.
what happened? We're just, hey, you know, we're 6 cans short, 5 cans short of a six pack is what my friend said.
Right?
She's a little from the, thing. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like humanity. Actually,
Right?
we're 5 cans short of a six pack, man. I'm kinda-
The comedy. No.
so yeah, so the empath is Mother Nature. That's the original math. Because nothing is wasted in creators or Mother Earth's economy. It's really not. It takes the burn, takes the ashes, and it creates new life. You know, you
Mhm.
know, um, Sometimes there's I'm not sure if it's all pine trees. I mean, it's obviously not all pine trees, but there's only some pine trees that will bloom when there's fire there. So
Yeah.
fire just it releases them so they understand know the natural beauty and the cycle of life. They offer life when that life when other lives are taken, and so that's what a beautiful lesson that is. Just I would say if anybody listening out there, you know, sit with that one for a second. Sit with that one. What can you offer when life is taken? And it doesn't have to be spiritual or physical
Yeah.
takenness.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, death comes in, many forms, many forms, so,
Mhm. Like
so,
that just reminds me of I just had the image of
yeah,
the caterpillar going into the butterfly.
sure. Right, right, right,
That's a
right,
transformation of a death in a sense of a transformation into
mm,
a
right,
different
right.
beauty in a way.
Different views. Well, You know what they turn into? A green book,
Yeah.
teaching us that it doesn't transformation probably doesn't look pretty.
Huh?
If it looks pretty, you're probably not doing it right. Kind of thing. You're probably not doing it right. Tears, snot bubbles coming out. All this stuff. You know, long nights in the stir type thing. Disturbable, being disturbed, and being it wasn't easy being born. Kind of thing. It's a
Mhm.
little tough time coming out of that place. Kind of like
Yeah.
but that's the transition between that life and this life. And so our lives and our transitions really mirror the very first one that we had. You know, it really really does. That's why Sweat Lodge is so beautiful and so powerful because we get to honor that transition between the old life and the new life, going back into that sacred place, that sacred womb, and then transforming, transitioning into something else, something better, more powerful, something that understands that sacred listening and the sacred breath, breathing in that sacred medicine and that sacred breath, and learning how to use that breath again, to be gentle, with that breath, Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just hear that's a good place to end it. No.
Oh my God, we're like an hour. Oh my God, we're not 35
We're
minutes.
almost at 2 hours. Woo!
Oh my God.
Dang.
So, oh my God, there's poor people that have been with us for like
We love
almost
you
2 hours.
guys for staying on and listening to all of this.
Yes, we love you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Um, and we didn't really talk about all things beautiful. We touched on like a
A
couple,
little bit.
just a
Uh-huh.
little bit. We touched a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So I guess we'll have to
There's
keep
many more
going.
to come. We're just gonna keep
Keep
this
keep
going.
going. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
So we'll see.
wow.
We'll have brother back on here in a couple weeks, and we're
Okay.
just gonna
Yeah.
keep continuing
Mm,
going because there's
mm,
there's a lot of I keep hearing, and this is for those that don't understand, is
mm,
when I do these podcasts, I pray for each person and about each person that
mm,
comes on
mm,
for that
mm,
inspiration and who
mm,
creator and who my ancestors
yeah.
want to come
Yeah.
onto the show. And
Mm,
so
mm, yeah.
everything's inspired. Each one of my
Mm,
guests that I have come on here are
mm,
inspired and were,
mm,
you know, I was told through creator and my
mm,
ancestors, this is the person. This
mm,
is who
mm,
you speak with. Now this
mm,
person.
mm,
And so
mm,
I just want to share that's kind of I think what also makes things a
mm,
little bit different with my podcast is that it's all done with inspiration.
mm,
It's not even my podcast. This is your
mm,
podcast. This is all of yours.
right.
This is for
Mhm,
you. This is for the next
mm,
7 generations. This is for the seven
mm,
generations before
mm,
me. This is creator's podcast.
mm,
He's the one that inspired me
mm,
to bring this forth. So if anybody has that credit, it's not me. I'm just the hollow
mm,
bones. I'm just the
mm,
facilitator, the
mm,
organizer, the conductor, in a sense, for the
mm,
great conductor.
yeah. Mm,
So I just want to
mm,
share that because as people cycle back through and relatives cycle
mm,
through, they're all being inspired and I'm being inspired to bring them back through. So it's not that
mm,
I'm just favoring someone or like this person has more knowledge than this person because we all and there's many
mm,
beautiful people out here with much wisdom and knowledge.
mm,
It's just whatever the is being facilitated and sometimes we
mm,
just don't quite see um the whole bigger
mm,
picture, but we go by that intuition
mm,
and we go by that
mm,
guidance and we just listen and we'll have a bigger clearer understanding, maybe it's in 6 months, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's, in
mm,
the next life
mm,
that we have a bigger understanding and clearer vision of,
mm, mm,
even Wayne and I here together and him
mhm,
coming through and this and us sharing this medicine circle
mm,
together.
mm, mm,
Um, so we, like he said earlier, we don't always have to have the answer. We
mm.
always don't have to know,
Yeah.
but
Mm,
you do know internally, you do know in
mm,
spirit that it's right. And so sometimes
mm,
there is no explanation.
mm,
It is what it is.
mm, mm. Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful.
I just want to
Mm, okay.
leave
So,
that message with everyone
mm,
as
okay.
we keep going with this podcast, as the years come, and
Mm,
just
mm,
knowing that
yeah. Mm,
everything's done with inspiration and everything's
mm,
done with prayer and
mm,
done in a good way.
mm. Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful. Well, thank you
peace.
for another beautiful show, Megwitch, and it just all things beautiful today. We'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
All things beautiful, powerful. And again, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oos,
Well,
oos,
thank
I
you.
enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
everyone, for tuning in, and stay tuned for next week. Podcast is live every Tuesday, Facebook, and on YouTube. And we'll see you later. Have a good day.